next few minutes, relax. Come to the recognition you are here, fully here. For the next few minutes, you have no memory. No imagination. No life. You are simply here. As naked awareness. Not even a present. You live nowhere. You have no country. You have come nowhere. And yet, you are here. This you know. This is the one thing you know. I am here. For the next few minutes, remain as that knowing. Thoughts can come and go, thoughts of past, thoughts of future, thoughts of lunch can come and go. You are that awareness, which is watching the flow. It's as though you're sitting on the bank of a river. Your thoughts, dreams, imagination, fantasies, concerns, judgments, opinions are like sticks and logs flowing down the river. You are sitting on the bank, enjoying the scenery. You don't jump into the river to grab every stick that goes by. Just watching. Treat your thoughts, your memories, your fantasies, your concerns in this same way. Give yourself the opportunity for a few minutes to stop in the recognition, I am here. That which is aware is here now. And in this space of naked awareness, there can be sounds, sensations, touch, sights with the eyes, visions in the mind, memories. But these are not me. These are sticks on the river. I am that which is aware, here and now. simply remaining as this simple awareness, that which is aware is here now, or returning to it if some memory has come up, some fantasy has started to project itself on the mind screen. You can notice that whatever objects arise, whatever phenomenon arises, in the space of being, has no intrinsic value, meaning it has no value of its own. All experience, thoughts, sensations, have as their foundation a basic equality, unless the mind grabs them. Once the mind begins to chew on any experience, thought, emotion, sensation in the body, this thought, I am the body, I am the thinking, I am the experience, the world is a projection of me, all of this begins to rise. This is all dependent on the loss of the recognition that all phenomenon, all experiences have as their foundation basic equality. They have no inherent worth. This is why I encourage you during this time of meditation, of quiet, to simply watch. In doing so, notice that things are coming and going, thoughts are coming and going, sounds are coming and going, instruction is coming and going on its own. Simply allow the river to flow. Keep quiet and watch. Now notice that by watching with naked awareness, without judgment, watching the river flow, some equanimity, some evenness, large or small, is there. This is not something you do. This is a consequence of coming to natural, naked awareness. And losing interest in making any decisions about the objects which spontaneously arise in the space of mind, in the body, in the world. This equanimity, this sense of peace, this sense of balance, is not something you create. It's something you see. It is naturally there already. It is always there. Even when there is the perception that somehow it's covered over or can't be seen. This is a perception in the mind. It does not affect the basic equality of phenomenon. Does not affect the essential equanimity of being, consciousness. That which is here is unmoved by perception. That which is here can perceive everything with equanimity. This kind of meditation simply puts us firmly on this foundation. It's from this foundation that true inquiry, the asking of this question, who am I, or what is aware here, is grounded. Once this foundation has become firm in you, you'll begin to notice that the waves that appear on the surface of your mind begin to become smaller and smaller. This is not because there is no turbulence on the surface of the ocean. This is because you, as being consciousness, are sinking deeper into yourself. Not yourself as me, but as the self of being consciousness. And as you sink deeper into this natural awareness, there is less and less disturbance in the mind and heart. And when there is disturbance in the mind or heart, in the experience or the world, this experience is recognized to simply be a manifestation of the ocean of being. So all is well. Because you are that deep ocean. So be kind and compassionate with yourself, but persistent in coming back over and over to a place where you can genuinely ask, who am I? What is aware here? By simply noticing that which is aware is here now, before all else is known. All right, now we have a few minutes for you to bring your questions, your doubts, your fears, your joy, whatever is present here for you now. Somewhere there's a microphone, so if you'd like to speak, please just raise your hand and we'll get you a microphone.
I would just have a question about the importance of location. Because being here feels so powerful. The stillness of the mountain and the peace. And if I'm in my home country, I can imagine it, or I don't know if I feel it as strongly, but when I'm here, it's just like bathing in it. And so I wanted to ask you about the importance of being here. Like, I don't know if I'll ever come back after this. Like, none of us ever knows that. And should we be here as much as possible? Or can I just go anywhere and have this?
Yeah, thank you. This is a common question, isn't it? Yeah, and it's an important question because the traditions, Advaita, Vedanta, Buddhism, other places, other traditions, Islam, they speak about the importance of pilgrimage and the importance of place. This is really what pilgrimage is about. It's about the importance of place. So on that level, yeah, it's important in some way. What way is it important? It's important because it's a support for you. You see, in your sadhana. Because you feel this attraction, you feel this love, you feel this longing, it brings the mind back to this focus that the purpose of your being embodied at this moment is to awaken. Isn't it true? Yes. So this is the purpose of this place. But there's a larger question. Where is this place really? Where does this impulse that says, this place is sacred, or I must go there, where does this impulse come from? And does it come only when you are here? Can you say?
I would say that it's always there, but I'm saying that from the theoretical position, my experience is that here, in this longitude and latitude, so
So, whether that impulse, let's call it, is weaker in your home country and stronger here, have you asked yourself, can you ask yourself in this moment, where does this come from?
The impulse comes from the true self, like the being.
Yes. So it didn't originate with you. You are aware of the fact that somehow this has risen in you at this moment or at some time in your life.
Yes.
The way to pursue the answer to the question that I gave you is to ask yourself, what is the source of this rising? Whether it's perceived to be weak in your home country, or whether it's perceived to be strong here, is it outside of yourself? I mean, we have a physical mountain, so we can point to the mountain, that's a physical object. But does that mean that the mountain is outside of you?
Ultimately, no, because when I'm there, I'm always thinking of this mountain, like almost every day.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But
everyone's familiar, I think.
yeah, from all parts of the world we're here in this room.
Yes.
For the same reason.
Yes.
But we're here for this experience of the phenomenon of being bathed in it. Like, it just feels so super.
Yes, but understand that if you are here simply for the phenomenon of being bathed in it, you will forever be dependent upon the phenomenon of being bathed in it. This is why it's important to ask, from where is this impulse coming? Is it mine, even? Is it coming from the me-ness of this body-mind? Or can I easily acknowledge that it somehow is coming from however you perceive the Supreme to be? It's coming from God, it's coming from the Supreme, it's coming from the Self, it's coming from XYZ. If you keep following that thread and take advantage of it while you're here, because the experience is that the phenomenon is strong for you here, so the proper use of that strong phenomenon is who or what is aware of the strength of this phenomenon. And if you go to your home country and you feel it weaken, the question is not different. It is still the same. Who or what is aware of the weakening, apparently, of this phenomenon? This is the purpose of my talking about the basic equality of all phenomena. Because it's when you come to see perceptively, through intuition, deeply, through the experience of the opposites, that there is something else there, which is unmoved by the weakening of the phenomenon or the strengthening of the phenomenon. This is the waves on the ocean going up and down. The question, who is aware of this? Who is this I that is thinking this thought? Who is this I that is perceiving that there is a stronger phenomenon here? And really sinking into that brings you into the ocean of being. In this way, we can always be saying that we are using whatever being consciousness puts on the screen of awareness to bring us to this recognition of natural wakefulness or awareness. Because we can say, in this circumstance of strong phenomenal recognition, I am using that to ask this question, who or what is aware here, and dive deeply into that. And when I go back, I'm also using that phenomenon of apparently weakening, and also asking this question, who or what is aware? Because we're not coming to understand, if our interest is not really to understand the ways in which the mystery uses its energy to attract our attention like bait for a fish, we are more interested in being caught. And this means we have to ask this question: who or what is aware of this phenomenon?
Thank you.
And sink very deeply into that which is aware rather than into the phenomenon itself.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, that just brought what was being said then, just kind of brought up. And, I never really get it with the mountain.
You never really get what?
When people talk about the mountain as being, I don't really get it. I mean, it seems to go over my head, you know. And I mean, I love the place and I love the focus here.
Yeah.
I never really get it. But it seems, in one sense, you kind of never really go anywhere. You know, it's like just like changing scene, passing through you in a way. You know, so it's I don't really get this kind of one place being more special than any other place, really. You know, I mean, I come from Ireland, and there's a similar mountain in Ireland that people do the same thing. You know, for them it's really special. They focus there, but I'm not. I'm not putting it down in a way. It's just it seems to go over my head. You know?
Yeah, understood. So, my question for you then is, what has brought you here?
Yeah.
We say it's not the mountain. Okay, we can agree to that. Absolutely. What is it that brought you here?
The focus, really, because it seems that you know, most places this isn't the focus. You know, so I like the environment. You can, in daily life, you can, you know, you're kind of in the tide's going the other way. You know, it seems like sometimes you're going against that tide to everything is pulling you in a different direction.
Yeah,
you know?
I understand and I agree. So, what is the source of this focus?
Yeah.
That you experience? You don't experience it there.
Well, no.
So you experience it somehow here.
Because there is satsang happening. And
yeah.
People are
yeah, but what is the source of this focus? Who is this I that says, I come here for the focus?
Yeah. Whatever is drawing me here that's greater than my decisions that I think I'm making myself.
Yes. There is something pulling you here. That's all you really know.
Yeah.
You don't know really what the nature of it is. So, understand that the pointer for her is the same as the pointer for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just that you know, every time it's mentioned about mountains, I don't really get it. You know, I'm not.
Yeah, but do you understand that this is the position of the ego personality that's jumping up in you in that moment?
Yeah.
Because you are going, I don't really get it. Understand that there is no one to get it. And it's not necessary that you get it or don't get it.
Yeah.
So end that argument within yourself. Because that's an argument that you're having within yourself in some way. It's just being presented to you from outside. This person says, the mountain is this, 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 and this to me. Mm. And you say, no, it's not that, and that to me.
Yeah. It's just that I don't feel it. I mean...
Yeah, but you feel something.
Oh, absolutely.
So pursue that. Don't pursue this dialogue in the mind. This is meaningless. This, even though it's outside of you, right? It's a dialogue between how you perceive your sadhana and how another person perceives their sadhana. You know, what is the focus? What is the meaning? What is the purpose? Is the same. So lose interest in the formless form of practice, which may be more akin to what you are being drawn by, and the practice with form, which is what attracts her. Okay? So end this argument within your own awareness so that you give yourself the permission in this very moment to fall into what comes before that argument.
Yeah, I was just sat there having breakfast earlier and I kind of realised, there's so many. In a way, it all becomes meaningless, whatever we do, whatever. But from the perspective of pure being, it's all just play, and it's all just
Yes.
in many different ways.
It's both meaningful and meaningless. Again, this is the direct perception of what is before the duality. But the way that the ego mind of the sadak co-opts that wisdom is to then somehow say that, oh, I see that, and I prefer this side of the duality, so I'll stick with that because it serves me in some way.
I think to see what you're saying, just accepting it all, not excluding anything.
Yeah, because everything is both meaningful and meaningless. Therefore, you can know beyond a doubt in this very moment that you are not going to find happiness in either the meaningful or the meaningless, because both are conceptual states in the mind. The only place that happiness resides is in the recognition, I am the self. Meaning, all of this is fine, all is well, the dance is going on, perfect.
It feels like maybe there comes a time when you have to let go of everything, and it's almost like even the idea of spirituality is like a superposition on reality.
Yeah.
What is.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, but that's not a conceptual experience. Understand that. That's not a conceptual experience. That's something that happens quite naturally.
All concepts
have
to fall away. Yeah.
They don't have to fall away. They can stay forever.
Yeah.
Because the place they stay is in the mind. What falls away is the recognition, I am the mind. And what flowers is the recognition that being consciousness is all that is here. Whether it is formless or with form.
Another duality.
We are using the terms of mind in order to pick out the thorn of mind. So, if the thorn of mind is pulled out completely and thrown away, then these questions don't arise. These conversations really don't arise. So, then there's no need for the concepts anymore. This is when the mind has given it up.
It's exactly what I was just thinking there over breakfast, and that metaphor, exactly. I was just thinking about that maybe 1 hour ago. It's mind blowing.
Very good, yeah. Let it blow your mind. This mind that is being blown is also a figment of the imagination, so you simply are. That which is aware simply is. And this is its manifest form in the waking state. So it's all okay. Don't argue with any of it.
Thank you.
I'm struggling right now. I feel I have an attachment to the form in which God is coming to me. So I have some idea of what it should look like.
Yes.
God should be gentle, peaceful, noble, respectful. Actually, God is coming to me right now in not so gentle or respectful of a way, in quite an aggressive and severe way. And my heart is telling me that this is the reflection I need, and yet there's resistance in my mind. No, I want something peaceful, gentle. Like when I look at Ramana's picture, like something very, like I see the eyes of a doe looking at me when I see Ramana, something very serene. And yet, there's this guidance that I need more of a fire of the mountain. And so, how can I surrender to God coming to me in this more aggressive and severe way? Because my disposition is resistant.
Can I ask you a question about that? Do you have a choice? In the way in which life is unfolding for you, or you might say God is coming to you. Do you have a choice? Since you don't have a choice, really the only thing you can do is surrender to the opportunity. The thing about experience like this, some of you will be familiar with this, where your life is at a particular moment is very, very difficult, and there are difficult things rising. The opportunity that's there is if you are able to stand in it, and by that I mean just be present for it in the same way that we did this watchfulness meditation or this awareness meditation this morning. If you have the stability to be able to stand in that experience, what happens is you eventually see it naturally break down, come to its own conclusion. Through doing this, standing in it with open heart and with open awareness, what can happen is you can develop compassion toward yourself. This happens naturally. This is not something you need to force or you need to necessarily do. It's just something to keep in mind. What is generated and developed in you is compassion toward this me that is perceiving this suffering, this difficulty, but also compassion toward others who are also suffering around you. And you may or may not be aware of their suffering, but they are nonetheless suffering in silence, maybe in the same way that you are. So view all of this as the opportunity that has been brought to you or has been unleashed by your sadhana. In order to fully be able to stand in the middle of whatever is here with this gentle, loving awareness, even the awareness, this is really difficult, this is really hard, I don't like this. Even with that going on in the mind, you are able to somehow see that you are struggling against your own expectations. I am a spiritual being, I am doing sadhana, it should look like this, this, and this, and this. And when it doesn't, when it looks like this, this, and this, then what? This is pointing you toward the gateway that will take you beyond the opposites of those two expectations. The expectation that it should look in a blissful way like this, and the expectation that it shouldn't look like this. So that you can find your way through the question, what is aware in this? What is thinking these thoughts? Yes. Coming back over and over to the recognition that that which is aware as this being, you, is here now and is present in the experience, no matter whether the mind judges the experience to be what it was looking for or what it doesn't want. Then you can have the possibility of understanding through compassion that you are so much more, that your foundation is so much broader, and then the possibility is there that the next time you meet someone who is suffering and struggling, that broad foundation will give them a place to stand as well.
So you're saying if I have an expectation of God coming to me in one form, I'm actually limiting God.
Well, yes, because if you look at the Hindu pantheon, you can go to Kali Ma, and you can see that God does not just have this gentle, loving, nurturing form. God also has this very fierce form. And this is also true in the tradition of Manjushri, who comes with his sword to chop off your head. This is a very violent image, yeah? So, yeah, be willing to chop off your own head.
If Kali is chasing me,
Stop. Always the answer to every kind of trauma and drama is to stop and stand in it and see what is there for you. What am I to learn from this? This is true, isn't it, of physical? We talked about this the other day with someone. This is true of physical pain, emotional pain, what appears to be difficulty in the world. We all experience difficulty in the world, right? I mean, having recognized who you are as being consciousness does not mean your life suddenly becomes all flowers and beautiful music. You will still need to deal with the neighbors. You will still need to, deal with your financial situation. You will still need to work out your relationship with your partner if you have one. All of these things will continue to go on. The recognition, that which is aware is here now, and I am that, doesn't stop what in the Hindu tradition is known as prarabdha karma, which is the karma which has brought this body into existence, from needing to work itself out. It's just that it's working it out as a body-mind complex. There's no me involved. So the jnani, or the person of wisdom, the sage, she still has to live in whatever is happening in the world. The difference is, she understands that the world is God, and whatever is here is His grace and blessing, or her grace and blessing. So, what to do? All is well. If your reason for being here is sadhana, then open. The tendency when someone has this kind of personality that you're describing is that as soon as the perceived idea of the Supreme is not being met, rather what looks like its opposite is being met. So you are being greeted by Kali rather than Ramakrishna, and he was the master and servant of Kali. So you have to understand that what you're being asked to do is to integrate both in some way. But this is not a mental activity. So the question rises, how are you able to do that? By standing still, not running toward, not running away from, not grabbing and not pushing. Rather, being, consciousness, here, now, even with this difficulty. And what happens is you become aware of the strength of the foundation which you have, which has drawn you here to do this sadhana. And I don't mean here necessarily in Tirubannamai. I mean here, into sadhana in your life. Each of you that is here today has to understand the strength of your own calling, if you will. You are here. What a rare opportunity. But it's also a fire. Yes, this is Arunachala's image, right? This is a fire. So be willing. And if there's a circumstance, you talked about aggression. If this is a physical circumstance, I want to say this and be really clear about this. If this is a physical circumstance that you find yourself in, understand that if you are a sadhak, it is appropriate at certain times to ask yourself, does this circumstance in which the physical body and mind find themselves, does this support the impulse toward awakening? If it doesn't, walk away from it. Papaji told a story about someone who came to satsang and said, I don't understand, I'm trying to meditate for 2 hours every morning, and I don't understand why it's not working. And he said, where are you meditating? At home. Under what circumstances are you meditating? Are you doing puja? Are you doing it? No, I'm just sitting quietly. But the problem I have is I live above a body shop. And at 5 o'clock in the morning, they start pounding on the cars down below and straightening the metal and everything, and it's very, very noisy. And he said, move. You see, this is because it's important for you to understand. And again, this comes back to a certain degree to your question about location. This comes back to the idea that you can know what is suitable, if you will, for your sadhana, for your practice at any given time. And if your life circumstances are simply not suitable to what you have established is the purpose and meaning of your life, which is to awaken in this time, then you go somewhere where that possibility becomes stronger until such time as you have the strength and the foundation in being consciousness that you can go anywhere, live anywhere, be with anyone. Knowing that there's an intermediary step for you. And it may be to get out of a circumstance that you find yourself in, not because of anger, frustration, hatred or something, but rather because it is not suitable for sadhana, for the recognition of the self as already present being consciousness. If there is so much turmoil in the mind, and the mind has as one of its characteristics this veiling quality of hiding that which is aware, of hiding the self supreme in service of an ego, in service of a me, in service of a you, in service of separation. This is a characteristic of mind. So there is some effort that's necessary to get through this characteristic of mind, this veiling quality, and come to the understanding that which is aware is here now. We get this in small glimpses, but each time you get a glimpse, it strengthens that foundation a little bit more. If it's necessary for you to set up a certain circumstance, and it is for all of us at certain times, to live near an ashram, near a mountain, in an ashram, to make one's own home exteriorly, outside home, temple-like, to keep it very Shanti and very peaceful, no problem, do those things. This is in support of awakening. If your intention is to awaken, then know what is required of you in that moment. So if you are in a situation where a person is aggressive toward you, do what you can to break that circumstance. And understand that every single person that you come into contact with is not going to be someone that you can change, bring along with you on your journey, drag them kicking and screaming into awakening. It's not going to happen. So if there is a difficulty for you in that way, in certain relationship that you're in, with grace and kindness and compassion for oneself and the perceived other, step away. That which you are is here now. But if there's something preventing you from knowing that in the deepest possible way, step away from it. This doesn't make a difference. It makes no difference whether this is a habit that you have, that you keep going back to, a relationship you have that you can't seem to break, a job that you have that simply does not permit you to have the space of your own being. At some point you will be able to handle all of those circumstances. But until that time, meditate, walk, stay quiet. Know what you need in order to be true to the truth of your own being, which is what is calling you. It is not you. You don't need to struggle with the circumstances in which you find yourself. You need to simply acknowledge that which is calling me is requiring that I go in this direction. Not in the direction of it all has to be sweetness and light and flowers and bhajans, but in the direction of it all, there needs to be an environment conducive to my recognition of that what I already know, I am the self, is true. That I can intuit this in a way that I am beyond doubt. Now I can go anywhere. And also I would like to add, the more that you are willing to be able to stand in the space of asking this question, who or what is aware here? Or simply acknowledging that which is aware is here now. Or noticing, I am aware. The more that you are willing to do that, these circumstances which seem to be in the way at the moment will begin to dissolve. So don't run too soon. Don't be that person that is always running away from this circumstance, that circumstance, the other circumstance, in order to try to find the perfect circumstance. The perfect circumstance is within the heart of your own being. I have come across many people who say they are doing sadhana, but they are running from everything and everyone. And every time the smallest thing goes wrong, they quit a relationship. Every time the smallest thing goes wrong, they quit the house. And they spend their whole life moving and shifting and going on and then saying, I don't understand why it's so chaotic. Well, this ability to be able to stand in what is here and to see that what is here is the opportunity to awaken is so crucial. Until you realize that what is here is actually preventing you from being able to continue your sadhana, then you must walk away from that. There are these kinds of paradoxical teachings, aren't there, within Vedanta, within Advaita, within the Buddhist tradition. But because Bhagavan often said, it's not necessary to change your circumstances at all. And then another Papaji comes along a few years later and says, move. So it's incumbent, or or necessary for each of us to be able to ask ourselves, what is really needed for sadhana? Not for my comfort, not to make me feel better. Okay? What is really essential for my sadhana? And if it is that we have to move, then we move. If it is that we need to go somewhere in order to feel the presence of God in a stronger way so that it can become the presence within me, then we do that. We don't argue with that, but we don't make these kinds of things a prerequisite to our awakening. We first ask the question, does this serve awakening? Does this circumstance align with my purpose?
It's not one size fits all in every situation.
Thank you. No. The reality of spiritual life is that one size fits one. There are commonalities for all. This is why we can look at all of the spiritual traditions and we can find the kernels of truth sprinkled throughout all of the great traditions of the world. We can find the same truths sprinkled throughout all of these huge number of writings and books and so on. If you look across all sorts of traditions, you will hear, eventually you will hear the same voice in all of those traditions. So this doesn't just say, this is right and that is wrong, this is the correct path and that is not the correct path. This says that take what you can take from this path that you're walking on and go forward. But when something doesn't serve you, you don't need to say, this is wrong. You need it could quite possibly be that you simply don't understand. But that seed is already there. So if the wisdom comes for you to understand something that came before that you didn't understand, that seed will sprout. And that plant, that flower, that tree will grow when the time is ready and the ground is fertile. Having said that, it's also incumbent to say, be sure that you are being honest with yourself about what the true intention of your sadhana is. And this comes back to the metaphor that you can't get water by digging a well 10 foot deep 100 times. You need to drill one well 100 feet deep one time. So please be sure that your mind is not leading you around like a bull with a ring, and that what you are doing in your sadhana is staying with the practice, with a master, with an understanding long enough to truly know, I have understood what I needed to understand here. And then if something else is needed, something else will come into your life. Okay? Be willing to really drill the well. And of course, if you drill the well deep enough, you are going to hit some rocks. You're going to get cave-ins of mud, right? You have to understand, this is not flowers and bhajans. Arunachala's fire is a fire. Yeah. So prepare to get burned with the full recognition that what is burning up is not me. Thank you.
how to know whether a situation is good for comfort or good for myself.
Yeah, good question. This is why I'm always talking about standing in what is here by seeing it as an opportunity. If you stand in what is here, seeing it as an opportunity, the wisdom of the experience will eventually tell you this is a place to stand and stay, because there's a recognition that the heart is opening through the experience, or there's a recognition this is just needless suffering, and I will walk away with love and compassion from the circumstances. So you stand in it, you stop, wait, listen, Listening is a big part of sadhana. This is one way you can know that the mind is driving you around or pulling you around like a bull with a ring in its nose, is that you can know that there is no comfort, there is no stopping. You are unable to simply wait with patience and presence so that you can understand what is in front of you in some way. If you are stopped, if you are standing in the opportunity of sadhana that is before you, no matter what is going on, there is going to be a certain amount of peacefulness and calm coming from deep knowing that all is well. You can look to see if that is there. If it isn't there, then you just decide, how long am I going to stay here and keep opening to this to see if it will go. Eventually, everything does go. So I'm not saying there's an amount of time you should ask yourself that question 3 times or 6 times or 100 times. Sometimes you have to stay in something for a very, very long time. You have to stand in it for a very, very long time. We were talking about pain here the other day. If you are chronically ill and you have chronic pain, you may need to stand in that for a very long time in order to see that eventually it goes. Or eventually the body gives up in the face of the difficulty. Yes? Both are valid. One is not better than the other. But the one thing you can be sure of is that you are not engaged in sadhana. You are spending all of your time running from one kind of treatment to another kind of treatment, to one drug to another drug, from one teacher to another teacher, from one tradition to another tradition. And you are doing that in rapid fire order, and you are trying to get some kind of relief. The message is always going to be, for sadhana, please stop and try to understand what is here now. Not with the mind, just with presence. What is here now? This is also the opportunity of sadhana. This cultivates within you some strength and strengthens this foundation of recognition that you are not whatever experience you are having in the world, in the body, in the sensations, in the mind, in the emotions. You are that which is watching what is happening in the world, in the experience, in the body, in the mind. Yes? Keep coming back to that. Wisdom will tell you what to do. Mind will always lead you from one side of the duality to the other. Oh, I will go from here to here, from here to here, from here to here, from here to here. This is the movement of mind and duality, always chasing happiness through some external. And external can also mean external to the observer. So a thought in the mind is external to the witness, external to the observer. The observer is deeper than that. Our sadhana is here to enable us to be able to remain still, even if not peaceful, still in the face of what is here. So that we keep opening the heart to something which is greater than the mind. And at the right moment, the body will simply move if it's necessary. Something will happen. Either the situation will somehow change on its own, or there will be a natural impulse to do something other than what I'm doing now. Again, not as an avoidance, but as a support for sadhana, for the intention to realize the already awake nature of being in consciousness. Just keep settling. So I'm being reminded about the time now, so I think I need to stop. Are we done for now? Please come back again if you need to. If people are leaving because Ramana Ashram is requiring everybody to be in line around 11:15 for lunch, so I'm aware of the time now. So if you are not needing to go and get in line for the noon meal, then you are welcome to stay here for a few more minutes and sit in the quiet. But that will be the finish of the questions for today. So that people feel free to go. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.